Welcome to Worriosity, where we unpack what makes you bite your nails and keeps you up at night. We are two minds, one spiral. Let's get to it. Welcome to this week's edition of Worriosity, where we are
Two minds, one spiral.
Felt a little bit like that was the delicious dish from Saturday Night Live. That was pretty good.
There we go.
So we had one clarification from last week.
Yeah, so I realized that we never actually explained why we're called Worriosity.
Right.
Now, I think you could garner from the last episode that it's because we worry.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not just about worrying. We called ourselves Worriosity because even though we worry a lot in life, we get through those worries by being curious.
Mm-hmm.
So we married worry and curiosity. We just wanted y'all to know that that's where we are with our branding, because we encourage you in times of worry to stay curious, because that is how you get through it.
Absolutely. It's where you can find your humor as well.
It is.
So this week we decided we're going to talk about flying. We brought it up a little bit in the first episode, and I feel like it's one that's pretty relevant.
For everyone, and I mean, with all the stuff that's happening recently,
yeah,
flying is becoming a worry for a lot of people.
It's a little challenging when you hear about a lack of air traffic controllers, for example. That's a little scary.
Some, crashes. That's a little scary.
Yeah, I don't like hearing about that. Yeah.
No.
So I will say that the fear of flying had started when I was pretty young. I was always excited about the concept. I always wanted to go places. I remember going into travel agencies when those were a much bigger deal when I was a kid, and looking at all the brochures, and I always wanted to go on like European cruises and things like that, but my mother was too afraid to fly. So we never flew. We only drove places, and we took a lot of cruises because we lived in Florida and the port wasn't too far away from us, so we did a lot of that. But I did not get on a plane for the first time until they flew me home from camp in North Carolina one year when I was about 13. And I went with my best friend, and she ate about a pound of peanuts. Yeah, because they still had a lot of those on flights then.
Yeah, back in the day when, they weren't worried about people's allergies.
Right. And so we, that was my first time, and it was terrifying. But it was only like an hour and 15-minute flight. It wasn't like anything major. And then the very next time that I flew was when I graduated from high school and went to Europe on a educational trip. And so I can
an hour and 15 to
over the pond.
Whoa.
So that was a little bit scary. And any other flights that I had after that, I flew so seldomly that it was always super terrifying each time. Like, I just remember having to grip the seat, and I felt nauseous days leading up to it. In fact, even for our honeymoon, and I know I'm just hogging the microphone here, but...
Oh, no, it's okay. I have a lot of stories, too.
Yeah, even for our honeymoon in the year 2000, we went to Europe, and so I remember we had our wedding on Saturday, and then we had a day in between and flew out on Monday, and we were flying to Paris, and the Concorde, or Air France, had crashed, and we were flying Air France. And so I was I don't think it was actually the Concorde. I can't even remember, but I just know it was an Air France flight that crashed right around that time. And so I was absolutely terrified and couldn't sleep and was so nauseous and kind of dry heaving in parking lots, like that kind of level of nerves. So
it's a lot of worry.
Yeah. It's a lot of flight worry. And now I travel all the time and I fly all the time, and it's, significantly better, I would say. Definitely slightly better. I have methods for controlling my anxiety with it. But yeah, so I have a lot of stories to share of why I might be anxious. But do you also share this?
I do. Right, so hold on. I'm going to tell you to move back because you keep hitting this, and I wonder if it's shaking it and causing the muffling.
Okay.
I do. Yeah, actually, it's funny, though, because my fear did not start when I was younger. So by the time I started flying, of course, my mom had passed away, and my dad, I think, had just sort of embraced it, like, all right, now I can go and fly. And so we flew quite a bit, actually, to come visit you, to go visit other, people in our family. And so flying was actually not novel for me. Like, I felt totally fine doing it. In fact, I traveled a lot. I remember when I was, fresh out of college, I worked a couple of years, and I decided that I was going to take a backpacking trip, which was really cool and definitely something that we can talk about later. But because that came with a lot of worries, I'm sure you can imagine. But what I noticed is in that time, I never really had trouble. I was never nervous. I never like thought about it, like getting on a plane. It was nothing.
So when did it start then?
So it started when I actually started in 2020. So
Pandemic year.
it did. Right before the pandemic, I went to my best friend's wedding in Israel.
Hmm.
So I flew, that was a pretty long flight. It must have been like, 14 or so hours. And I remember on the way there, totally fine, not a big deal, same old, same old. Flew back and we hit an insane storm in our first leg. So we were, I think, landing in like the New York area, and it was a really bad snowstorm, and it felt like I was free falling for 45 minutes.
So it was coming in on the landing.
Yeah, it was coming in on the landing. And so I just remember feeling like I was free falling, and then I, was stuck on land once we finally landed, and I was like kissing the ground. I was so scared. And then flew home on that second leg. Everything was fine. And then the pandemic happened. And I didn't get on a plane for almost a year.
Well, that's true. And it's like the more you do it, the less afraid you are.
Right,
and,
exactly.
Yeah.
And so I didn't do it for a whole year after this, what felt like a genuinely traumatic experience. Like, you're talking about gripping the seat. I was gripping the seat.
You weren't able to get back on that horse right
I
afterwards.
was not. Yeah, I wasn't able to get back on that horse right after. So I remember the first time I got on a flight, like I felt shaky. I felt, sweaty. I was so nervous. And for the next, like 2, 3, 4 years after that, I was it was like debilitating. It was so scary to get on a plane. And it was so different for me because I've never been worried about it before. And all of a sudden, like you, I started seeing all the things in the news and I started reading all the articles. It's like,
yeah, you have to avoid flight information.
Right, yeah.
That's
it's like you're sort of blind to that until all of a sudden
worst.
you're really scared about it and you're like, oh my gosh, all this stuff is happening. And so it took me a long time, and I have to give a shout out to my boyfriend because he has been pretty instrumental in helping me get past that, him in therapy. So,
Well,
But-
I tell you, another really good source is to talk to a pilot.
Mm.
So, and they can tell you what's normal and what's not. So I have a couple of friends who are pilots, and that's really helped me for them to explain about, turbulence and, the things that I really was worried about that I shouldn't worry about as much, right?
Oh, yeah.
And so that has helped a lot. But I will say that it's hard to do that when, for example, I was on a flight home from college one time, and at the time, the family lived in Florida, and if any of you know most areas in Florida in, starting around May through August, every single day, between the hours of 4 and 6, there's some violent electrical storm because the heat has built up all day and it's just really nasty in the afternoon. And so,
Total rainfall.
and of course, that's when my flight was coming in from Nashville to land in Orlando. And our flight was just like crash. It felt like we were crashing into the ground. We were crashing into clouds. And then we had an emergency landing. And during all this time, people were crying and praying out loud. And children were crying.
Mhm.
Adults were crying. And then when they start praying out
Sounds
loud.
like my Israel experience.
Yes, and holding hands. And then we do an emergency landing, and the pilot walks out to talk to us. We've had to land in another location. And he's like, listen, I know that this is scary. We're going to get back up there. We're like, no. And he's like, yeah, we're going to get back up there. And, we're on the other side of Florida. We're going to have to get back up there and get you to Orlando. And he goes, I want to survive too. And when he said that, I think that was worse. It made it worse.
I want to survive too.
Because it made it seem like there's that possibility that we were not going to survive.
My gosh.
So I didn't love that. I didn't
No.
love that behavior at all. And then there was one man who said nope and stood up and eventually had to be escorted off the plane because he was not going to sit back down and be taking off with that plane again. So he was just going to find another way across the state. I stayed. I don't know if that was the right call or not. I mean,
it sounds like it was because
I'm here.
It home.
Yeah, I'm
you
here.
made it home.
So I guess that was right. But it was a crazy, scary flight. And that was when I was like 19. So yeah, the struggle's real.
But Kat, you started this story saying you should talk to a pilot. It sounds like that pilot didn't really do much for
Okay,
you.
yes. Talk to a pilot when you're not in the middle of a major storm like that. That was definitely interesting. And when I've told people that story, Actually, pilots that I know now, they're like, that's kind of weird that
Yeah,
he
why would he say that? He probably
physically.
thought he was helping. Honestly, he probably thought he was
Yeah,
helping.
I mean, usually they come on and they do their muffled announcements, that you can hardly hear. And then, no, but for him to walk out, I don't know, it just seemed like that the flight attendants were very terrified, which is always the first thing I look at as
Yeah.
well. Like, are they scared? Then
Yeah.
I kind of try to follow their lead, and
Yeah.
that can be helpful. But the other one that I heard is a friend of mine was on a flight international and someone died. And so
Oh my
then they
gosh.
had to drag the person down the aisle.
They had to drag the person.
And
This is starting to sound like a
yeah,
airplane,
so
like the movie.
yeah, and then like put them in a place like behind a curtain, and that's horrible. That
Yeah,
is,
that's horrible.
it's hard to even imagine that for the family, any of that. It just sounded horrible. And then for people who are afraid to fly, that couldn't have been a lovely
No,
experience for
I
anybody.
absolutely imagine that just created to their overall trauma. But I will
Yeah.
say, on a lighter note, is that something that sort of helped me with flying recently is somebody told me, I don't remember who, it may have been my boyfriend or just like some random stranger, which, thanks random stranger if it was, is,
You get good advice from random
yeah,
strangers.
you really can, especially on a plane when you're freaking out and somebody like is wanting to stop, you know, stop you
They
from
just want to
freaking
have a
out.
relaxing
Yeah,
flight.
they're like, ugh, this girl. But somebody told me that when you're flying, it's like riding waves on a boat. And
I've heard that.
and
Or
I
like you're off-roading in a Jeep.
yeah, I mean, I don't like the Jeep one as much, but like all of a sudden that's a new anxiety for me as well, like off-roading. You hear all these incidences, but
Okay.
what I thought
I guess
was
that's fair.
really, yeah, that's really, yeah. But what I thought was really interesting about the boat one is growing up in Florida, it definitely resonated with me, right? Like I've been in so many boats. Those boats that are just going over those waves, he was right. Like that is what
Yeah.
it felt like. It felt like that.
Yeah.
The only problem with that is that my brain tells me that I'm also like thousands of feet in the air. So I think that's the part that like kind of gets me. But it did calm me down a little bit. It made me feel better. But the other piece of advice that I got, and I have to share this because I look like a crazy person when I do it. But when I'm on a flight and I do this, I instantly feel better. So, thanks therapy. But essentially, my therapist told me that if you like squeeze certain parts of your body and you like work your way down and up, squeezing certain muscle
Like
groups.
you're a sponge. You're just like squeezing yourself.
So like tension. So like when you make a fist, or like when you squeeze your toes, or you
So like you're not taking your hands and squeezing something. It's
no,
like you
it's like
squeeze your eyes.
yeah,
Okay,
exactly.
okay.
And you just work like certain parts of your body. And you go all the way down and then come back up. Essentially, it's telling your nervous system like you just survived something difficult, which is the squeezing, and so your anxiety levels go down significantly after that. And I thought she was crazy. Okay, like when she said that, I'm like, that's not gonna work. It totally does.
It's
It
like she
totally
was a
does.
professional,
Oh my gosh, it's
right?
like she's a
And knows what she's talking about. Well, I like that actually because it also diverts your attention, right? Anything that you can. I have found on flights very helpful during takeoff is to play Sudoku.
Oh, I do that too.
Yeah,
Did I get that from you?
maybe because to sit there and just count, to 9
Yeah.
over and over and over again, it's just sort of it's almost like a meditation.
Yeah.
And so that's really helped me. Because they say that takeoff and landing is the most dangerous part of a flight. So when
And yet I feel the most comfortable during landing. I think it's because
you
even
think
though
you're almost there,
I think I'm almost there, it's like this false sense of security. I'm like, oh my gosh, it's almost over.
sadly, that's not how all that
I know.
happens all the
I
time.
know.
But I understand. It's nice it's pretty when you're coming in for landing. I do try to appreciate the scenery.
Are you a music person while flying? Because I definitely notice for myself too, anxiety levels go way down when I'm listening to a playlist of like some of my favorite music.
I don't do that as much. I have my games. I have my reading. If it's a longer flight, I have to watch movies. Definitely have to watch movies. But otherwise, yeah, I don't listen to music as much, and I probably should. That would probably relax me a lot. But for some reason, I don't know. It's not part of my routine. I kind of have like
Yeah.
a little routine that I have.
Yeah, sort of like what you said about Sudoku is when you are listening to music and you are kind of you know the words of some of your favorite songs, so it just kind of keeps you from, thinking about the flight. Instead, you're thinking about the words in the song. I definitely find that helpful, and I'd be interested to know too from people who are listening, like, what do you do when you're, on a flight and you're freaking out? I
Yeah.
mean, are you freaking out? I mean, maybe that's the question, right? Like, because clearly we are.
Well, and I hide it well.
Yeah.
I stay very calm. My daughter actually, both my kids are pretty good flyers because they've flown a lot. My husband can like just fall asleep instantly. It kind of drives me crazy. But
Jealous.
yeah, I'm very jealous of it. But he claims he has the anxiety. It just doesn't show outwardly. So I don't know if it's just seething like a stone in his body. So maybe that's another thing for me to worry about. But yeah, the thing about it is with the kids, it's funny because if it starts to get bouncy, they always look to me to see if I'm worried. And if I'm not, then they're pretty
Oh, sort
cool.
of like you with the flight
Yeah.
attendants.
Yeah. And
Yeah, you're
so
their flight attendant.
I have to play it cool, which has been, I think, my best acting in my entire life is being cool on flights, even when I'm nervous, because I don't want to instill this into my kids. Right. I
Yeah.
mean, so that's the hardest part about being an anxious person is I don't want my kids to end up being anxious as well. And I mean, it's inevitable in some ways. I mean,
Hmm.
I don't know. So I see a little bit of it in them, but when it comes to flying, I want them to enjoy it. And here's the thing. As I've grown, I actually do kind of enjoy longer flights. I don't have to do anything else. No one's
Right.
asking me to do other chores or anything.
Well, and
And
I've
I can just read and relax.
totally, and I've noticed with like bigger flights too. I mean, I think it's because of the planes, right? Is they are more stable, and so like feeling those bumps and bruises along the way is not necessarily something that happens as often on the bigger planes in the biggest ways. But when it does, like that trip that I had in Israel, that's when like you get freaked out because you're like, man, if it's throwing this big plane around, this is not good. And then
Mm.
you know it's not good when they, keep you down for like several hours and delay your flights. You're
So
like,
do you turn to wine? Do you
oh,
just
I know. Well,
uh,
maybe after I land,
yeah.
yeah,
I know
definitely.
actually they tell you I've been reading a lot more that drinking alcohol while you're flying is actually not good for you, that it can actually make some of that worse.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah,
I
so
mean, like alcohol makes a lot of things worse
well, and so
and better.
I have noticed because I have seen some very nervous flyers because as one throughout the ages that I've been, um, I'm improving, but now I notice other really nervous flyers.
Yeah.
So I see like I was on a flight to down to like Hilton Head one time, and it was not a long flight. And I saw a woman order 4 drinks
Oh
on
my
that
gosh.
flight.
What?
And it was like the first one. She's like, "I need this to take off." Like she had to ask for it before. I mean, she was that scared.
Wow.
And then I have seen, and it's you see kids, they get their little packages on like long distance flights with their wings. They're earning their wings for the first time and all that. I did see recently an adult earn her wings.
Oh, I love that. Oh, I love
She was
that.
so nervous, and the flight attendant's like, I just want you to feel you're doing such a
That's
great
kind of cute.
job.
I like
Yes, I
that.
know you're really
Like
nervous.
yeah, you're nervous, but it's
Here's some
okay.
wings.
Yeah, here's some wings. Yeah, put it in your memory box. But it's funny that you said the thing about wine because I find that with coffee for me. I drink coffee every day. I love it, but when I drink coffee, I mean it's such an upper, and I'm just
Oh yeah, you want to be
like
more jittery on a
panicked.
plane?
I
Yeah,
am yeah, I'm just panicked instead of
yeah.
normal because I'm like, oh crap, like everything that I think could happen feels like it's gonna happen right now, and
I
it's so ridiculous. Like,
I think the best thing to do is water.
yeah,
Drink water.
water.
Stay
Yeah,
hydrated.
because you get dehydrated on a
Hmm.
plane. Like it dehydrates you. So, yeah, alcohol and coffee both dehydrate you. So it's just like, yeah, just stick with water, friends.
Yeah, yeah. But I think flying can be a joy. It's
Hmm.
taking you to exotic, wonderful locales or to see
For
family and
sure.
friends, and I can't let it stop me. And it's not stopped you either.
Yeah, no, definitely not. As I said before, I've been to so many places backpacking, and I think people think backpacking is just like well walking, but also buses and stuff. But I took so many flights while down in Central and South America, and I mean, I wouldn't have been able to see the places that I saw if I hadn't been able to,
Yeah.
fly. And I think for you too, like you're constantly going places. I mean, how can you experience the world if you're.
You know what I don't like though is I don't like propeller planes.
Oh my gosh, no.
or where they have to balance the weight, and so your suitcase can't be more than because there's only like 10 of you, and we're gonna need to like keep your boots off because that puts too much weight on the plane. I don't like that. I don't know
That's
that I
too
can.
much.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's funny that you say that though, because a friend of mine is going on a safari for her honeymoon.
See, and I hear that you have to do that for
You
that.
have to do that. And so she was telling me about it, and she's so brave. Like every time I talk to her, I'm like, "You're so brave." I think she might be secretly nervous, but she won't tell me. She'll never say it. She's like, "Yeah, whatever, that's what we're doing." And I'm like,
It's such an epic trip that I know that I would do it.
I would totally do it, but I'd be
I think
so
I'm
scared.
yeah. I'm very frightened thinking about it.
Yeah.
And also those seaplanes to get to like Polynesian islands, where like Tahiti or something, where you're going to stay in one of the beautiful over the ocean.
Oh yeah.
I mean, that looks so amazing. I really
I'd
want to
love to
do
do
that,
that.
but I just hate the
The
idea of the
Maldives.
little seaplane
Yeah.
propellers. I don't love that. I don't love those.
No.
I've been on a couple. They were not exciting. Some people might have. They felt a little too adventurous for just a regular commercial flight for me.
Yeah, 100%.
Very
100%.
loud. Very
Yeah.
loud. I didn't love that. It makes me sound like I'm an 85-year-old woman, although there's plenty of 85-year-old women who are braver than me to do this. So that's not really fair to 85-year-old women. But I sort of think that I need to get a little stronger about some of these flights.
Yeah, 100%. Because I think about it like I want to do those kind of adventures too, but I think a little bit it holds me back. Like I pick the things that don't have that just because it freaks me out. But in saying this, that means I need to get over it.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I
Yeah.
mean, you talking through it and you face the fear.
Yeah, right now,
Yeah.
right here
You're
on
committing.
Worriosity.
You're committing to flying more propeller planes. Yeah, you just said it.
At least one.
Yeah, it's worthwhile. I mean, that's the way that you find the real joy in life, though, is right, pushing yourself and getting out there and having those adventures. So you got to face your fears. You got to
Yeah.
face your anxiety.
There's
And
a lot out there.
I feel like that's what we've learned today on
Yeah.
Worriosity, right?
Yeah, that's what we've
So
learned.
flying can have its challenges, but it can have its joys. And
And you can tell us, what's your flying? Is it flying or is it something else that's kind of like holding you back?
oh, yeah, like what are your fears?
Yeah.
Okay, and we love travel ones, so we have a lot more travel stories to tell.
Yeah.
But this has been our
Second episode
Second
of
episode,
Worriosity.
yeah.
We're excited to, discuss some other topics coming up and
we have a whole good list of them.
a whole
We
good
worry
list.
about a lot, and here's the thing: most of these come from you guys, so we've heard these things from you as well. So I think it's kind of universal, the things that people are anxious about. So
Yeah,
we'll get through it
definitely.
together.
Yeah.
We're doing this together.
We're doing
Doing
this
it together.
together.
All right. We'll see you next time on Worriosity.